This mini PC costs less than $100, and you'll be able to use it to watch your Netflix movies, do homework, edit video, and even play video games. But can it handle GTA 5? How efficient is it? Is it worth it for the price? Well, right now I'll tell you the pros and cons and in which scenarios it's recommended. In my case, I want it to build a small, minimalist setup that can handle Photoshop, image editing, and maybe some office work, but most importantly, spend as little as possible. So, besides the PC, I also added a $45 monitor and a keyboard and mouse kit for just $7, and the result made me very happy. Join me to watch the full video where I tell you everything. Let's start with the unboxing. In this box, you'll receive your mini PC, and the good thing is that inside this box, there's another box, which is important to protect the mini PC. Inside the second box, you'll now find the mini PC very well protected with foam. Here we have the power adapter, a SATA cable in case you want to expand the storage of your mini PC, 2 antennas for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, screws, and a metal bracket used to mount the PC behind the monitor. I'll show you how later. Finally, here we have the mini PC. The finish is completely metallic. It feels very solid. There's no plastic at all. On the front, it has the power button and 6 USB ports. On both sides, it has ventilation grills. And on the back, we find all the connections. A 3.5mm audio jack to connect headphones or speakers, 2 USB ports, Ethernet port, HDMI video output, VGA video output as well, the power input, and the 2 connectors for the Wi-Fi antennas. Here, you just screw in your Wi-Fi antennas and it's ready to go. As you can see, the top has a heatsink-like design. I was comparing it with a phone, so you can get an idea of the size. It's very small and weighs only 800 grams. I opened it so you could see a bit of the design. Here's the RAM. It only has one slot, the network and Bluetooth card. And as you can see, both antennas are 100% functional. This right here is the SSD. At first glance, you can see that the processor is on the other side of the board, making direct contact with the top of the case, resulting in good heat dissipation since air flows through these vents and cools it well. By the way, here on the board, you can connect the SATA cables that come in the box to expand storage, and the drive would be mounted to the bottom cover. Now, let's assemble the PC. For this, I bought some other budget peripherals. This is the cheapest LED monitor I could find. It cost me $45. It's basic quality with a 1600x900 resolution. For the price, being a new monitor, it pleasantly surprised me, and it's VESA compatible, so you can use the PC bracket, screw it onto the back, and mount the PC so it looks like an all-in-one. The keyboard and mouse cost me $7. Their quality is somewhat questionable, but they get the job done, and the keyboard is very quiet. Once everything was ready, I started connecting everything and placing each item on the desk. At first, it looked bad because I hadn't organized the cables, but after rearranging them, I ended up with a super minimalist setup with very few visible cables, and most importantly, it takes up very little space. The PC comes preloaded with Windows 10 Pro, so it's ready to use, but of course, you can install whichever operating system you prefer. Mine is equipped with an i5 200U processor, 8GB of RAM, integrated Intel HD graphics 5500, and a 250GB SSD. These are very basic components, and the SSD's maximum speed was around 400 megabytes, so it's not high speed. I'll leave the link down below in the description, and let me tell you that if you're going to buy this mini PC, you can choose other components, such as less storage, or even no storage and no RAM, different processors, or more storage. The price will depend on the configuration you choose. I need to be very honest with you about the price. At the time I bought this mini PC, it only cost me $100. I assume that right now, since it's December, prices are a bit inflated. The same configuration I chose now shows up at over $130, which seems exaggerated to me. So if you're interested in this PC, I recommend waiting a little until January, when prices will probably go down. If you don't want to wait, down below in the description, I'll still leave you the links, and I'll also include coupons you can use for a discount. But my most honest recommendation is to wait a bit for the price to drop. Regardless of which configuration you choose, all of them include 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi with dual antennas, so the signal is very good. Here in this speed test, you can see the maximum speed it can reach over Wi-Fi. It also includes Bluetooth, in case you want to connect a controller or Bluetooth headphones. The one I have, just as it is without modifying anything, felt truly fast. Boot time is around 15 seconds, and once the PC is on, opening the browser only took another 3 or 4 seconds. That's very good performance, for example, example, if you want to quickly check a document or open Netflix or YouTube, in about 20 seconds, you're already enjoying your content. Even so, in my case, I decided to change the operating system to a more optimized version. Here you can see that Windows alone was using 1.3 gigabytes of RAM and there were more than 100 active processes. I decided to install a light version of Windows 11 and also apply some optimizations, resulting in Windows 11 using only 800 megabytes of RAM and just 50 active processes. Performance improved by about 10 to 20%. So let me tell you how this mini PC performs. I set it up with all the programs I'm going to use, the browser, Office apps, graphic design and editing software, and video games. Starting with multimedia performance. Whether you're watching your favorite YouTubers, YouTube, or Netflix, you won't have any issues. You can use the browser smoothly and play your videos comfortably in Full HD 1080p. If you increase the quality to 1440p, it starts to have some issues, and 4K you definitely won't be able to play on this mini PC. If you're going to use your PC for work or school, you can easily use all Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the browser for research. Performance is very efficient. You can even be watching some multimedia content while doing your homework and you won't have any problems. The computer runs smoothly. The graphic design topic is certainly a bit heavier and more complicated, but it depends on which program you are going to use, since lately many of the heavy tasks are done with cloud processing, or there are even lighter image and video editors. Everything depends on what you are going to do. For example, I edited a gaming video as I normally would using Premiere Pro, which is heavy software and not very well optimized. The project was Full HD 1080p at 60 frames per second, and all the videos were at that quality as well. My videos don't use many special effects, so I could edit just fine. I didn't have difficulties, but it was noticeable that the mini PC was already at its limit. In the end, the video was 6 minutes long, and the render took almost 14 minutes. You can edit light videos, but nothing with many special effects or very heavy projects. For example, the video you are watching about the mini PC could be edited on the mini PC without any problem, since they are long scenes with only audio. On the other hand, if you want it for image editing, it will work well. Photoshop, which is one of the heaviest editing tools, worked fine. Again, talking about small projects, nothing very professional or complex. In general, it handled Photoshop's tools well, and the good thing is that nowadays you can offload many tasks to AI, so you can complement your PC with AI for image editing. In fact, as you can see in the background, I was using Photoshop while generating some images in Gemini, and in the end, I got a thumbnail that I would use for my videos without any problem. This mini PC was actually bought specifically for image and design editing tasks, so it perfectly fulfills its purpose. And finally, the real challenge, video games. From the start, I recommend that if you want a PC for gaming, don't buy a mini PC, and if you do, at least get a more powerful one. But if you only play retro games, 2D games, or very light games, you can consider it. I tested it with a few just to get an idea of its potential. First, I tried a zombie shooter called Killing Floor 2. With minimum graphic settings and low resolution, it ran between 35 and 45 frames per second, depending on how much action there was. It was perfectly playable, and it's a relatively modern game. If you want to play Minecraft on this PC, make sure it's the Bedrock edition. You'll be able to play without issues at 10 render chunks running between 40 and 50 frames per second, which is perfectly playable. If you're going to play something simple like Roblox, doing parkour or playing Rivals, it runs without problems. I tested Mega Man 20XX, which is a 2D but modern game with high graphics, and it ran locked at 60 frames per second, a perfect gaming experience. The game Fall Guys on minimum graphics ran fine at 30 frames. It was very playable, just don't complain about the potato graphics. Finally, the ultimate challenge, GTA 5, one that many will surely want to play. With graphics at the minimum, performance was very bad, running between 10 and 15 frames, so I made some tweaks, disabling shadows and lowering the graphics a bit more, and performance improved to between 20 and 25 frames.
Expand domestic operations.
Gang crime is on the rise. Experts blame lack of movies.
The funding war between security agencies rages in the capital.
I'm gonna make a withdrawal, homie. You dumb motherfucker, that's the Union Depository.
This story to the end.
The Bossack in
Weston, Los Santos' legendary billionaire investing guru, was celebrated.
Just to kill time, I would play it like this, but to go through the full campaign, definitely not. The good thing is that if GTA 5 runs like this, GTA San Andreas will run without issues. So, as you can see, gaming is possible. You just have to choose carefully what you're going to play or not complain about potato graphics. Now, the only downside of this mini PC is that it doesn't have a fan. It uses passive cooling. The entire chassis works as a heatsink, but during long gaming sessions, it reaches temperatures of 70 degrees. That was the maximum I hit after about an hour of testing games. What I recommend, if you're going to use it for long gaming sessions, is to keep the mini PC well ventilated. Just doing that keeps temperatures between 50 and 60 degrees. And in less demanding tasks, it hardly goes above 50 degrees, staying nice and stable. Overall, it's a PC you can consider for specific tasks, doing homework, consuming multimedia, and playing the occasional game. It has a minimalist design and an acceptable price, but in the end, you have the final say. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you'd buy something like this or not. I'll leave it here for now. See you in the next one. Over and out.